to a situation like this open-minded and willing to compromise and listen to what people have to offer, and work through the issues and problems.
Thank you. Mrs. Iakia?
Yes, thank you. I've been on the board now, this is my 6th year, and we've dealt with everything from construction to 9/11 to the changes of education, Indian Point, the kids do drills and going under their desks because of prowlers around. I mean, we live in a society that's much different than when we all grew up as children. And as board members, we've had to address every single one of those issues. And like I had said earlier, the nice part of being a board member is you don't have to have all the answers. You just have to know where to go look. Whether it's an educator that's in-house right now, whether it's the attorneys that we have on staff, whether it's Dr. Levine and his staff as for health issues. We have experts out there. We know where to get them. We pre-plan, just God forbid that's to happen. We have phone numbers in hand. And we know how to go and get the answers. I'm not an educator. I'm a financial person by trade and a marketing person. And I know that when something comes up, you have to stop, be calm. You have to think with your head and your heart. We have children. We're a town. We're together. We should be unified. And we have to do absolutely what's best for the students. And that's how we've always gone about handling every situation that's come by us. I think we've done a pretty good job so far, so.
Thank you. Okay, another question, please. Mrs. Iakia will be first to answer this.
As a student, I would like to know what is your position on students traveling abroad?
Students traveling abroad.
On students traveling abroad, like to foreign countries.
I strongly support students traveling abroad. I mean, I absolutely understand that the safety issues are, very important right now. The world we live in is not safe, but that just happens to be a fact of life right now. I don't think that's going to change for a very, very long time. I know as Somers does, we do have children that come from out of the country and come to Somers, and we've done that a few times from Ireland and different countries, and it's been very successful, very rewarding. Kids loved it and reciprocal. I support it very much, and I'd love to see that. I know in the years past we've always had that, and because of 9/11 and things that have happened, we've been a little reluctant to continue to do that because of safety. That's a tough challenge, but I absolutely support kids going abroad. I think it's a wonderful experience. I wish I could do it.
Mr. Chang.
Yeah. My wife is in the audience, and my 2 younger boys are in the audience, Jimming and Jerry. My 2 older boys are in basketball game today. I say that because I want to say to my oldest boy, I already have made a plan, and this summer I'll take him to China for a month to study and to open his eyes to the world outside. I think traveling abroad is a wonderful thing if you can afford it. As far as for school, making programs like that, I personally would support it, and I would like to explore during this trip I make to see what kind of a collaboration you can make with other universities or educational institutions, such that a economical cooperative program can be instituted. I think if I get elected, the chances of that may be pretty good.
Thank you. Mr. Olifiers?
I would support students traveling abroad, and as a board member, I would help you in every way I could to raise the money to do that. I think that as a school board, we should put money towards our students' education and traveling, but we also have to be fiscally conservative. And if we could come up with a plan, and I would help you do it, and I would look for people to support me, and maybe local business leaders, but I think right now that it would be an unfair burden to many of the taxpayers to support blanket trips to, outside of the country, especially in this time of uncertainty. With that being said, like, if we could come up with a program where we could fund it and we could go outside and be creative, I am in support of education, and that is part of the educational process, meeting people and going abroad.
Thank you. Mr. Sirico?
Yes, that's my son Matt, and I guess he wants to travel abroad. Notwithstanding the safety issues, I think, traveling is a great experience. In my career, I did quite a bit of traveling, and you get to see other people and you get to see alternative cultures. I think one of the things you come to understand right away that most of the world is bilingual. And one of the things that I'd like to think about introducing with the board and the community is to maybe get a language program started earlier on in the school districts. That being said, I also believe that it should be really funded by the families if we decide to do this. And I think that maybe if there are families in need, there may be things that we could do to help things out a bit. But again, I think the idea of traveling abroad and meeting other cultures is just a great experience. And I would support it.
Okay, another question, please. Yes, sir. This will be answered first by Mr. Sirico.
And that would be most appropriate. This last question really touched on question of philosophy here. For the past year, the board has begun to pay attention, has had the administration in accepting the challenges of globalization. In general philosophical terms, educational terms, where do you see globalization affecting education in the school system?
Well,
And how would you adapt to it?
That's a great question. I think that our children over the next few years, as they become adults, are going to be dealing in a global environment. They're going to be competing abroad or with people abroad. And I think one of the things I had mentioned just a moment ago is become bilingual. Our programs to educate them to be bilingual. Most of the world is as such. I think also technology is moving faster. They're going to have to be experts on technology and communication. So I think that, again, is a part of it. Further at home, securing jobs that just serve the public are going to require more education. There's more college credits requirements, there are more licensing requirements. We just need to prepare our children to deal with those types of challenges as they become adults and they move to be productive adults in the future.
Thank you. Ms. Iacchio.
Globalization. How do I start? Where would it begin? I would say that Somers, believe it or not, does a lot already with globalization. We have those large whiteboards that many classes have right now, and there's students in Primrose, SIS, middle school and high school that actually sit in the classroom and talk and work with other students in a classroom in other countries already now. So there's a lot of globalization going on. We do fundraising for when we had disaster release, we've gotten socks and we've gotten coats, and we've gone to other countries to help build homes and to help shelter children. I think we're already very far ahead with the whole globalization. We've embraced it. I think it's part of our goals as a board already. We're continuing it. It's part of our long-range plan. We've embraced it. It's here. It's part of our culture. It's part of the Somers environment, and it's definitely going to be going forward, without a doubt.
Thank you, Mr. Chang.
Yeah, I think in today's world, technology has advanced so much. This globalization is not a sort of impossible dream. It's very simple today, as you can see on internet and information flow, communication, and collaboration among institutions and so forth. As a technologist, I think I can contribute to the school board by suggesting many possible ways of introducing technology to enhance that part of the process. Also, we have to be aware that because this ease of communication and so forth, there is security and safety issue involved with school children. So I think in dealing with this, we just keep our mind open, adopt technology solutions, and encourage collaborative programs. And I really sincerely believe that we need to reach out to the other worlds, or third world, second world, whatever world, to build this bridge. In fact, I was looking at a bridge program for my son. That's how we now decided to spend the summer a month to China. It's called a bridge program, appropriately named. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Olifers?
As a school board member, we would set the policy, the school board sets the policy and sets the tone for the school district. Whether or not we want a global economy, a global world, it's on us, it's here. My child was one of the students in Primrose that actually spoke to a child from England on this whiteboard technology. And I had said earlier, I would support whiteboard technology and forward thinking. We need to, when we think of technology, we need to do it in a cost-effective way. And we need to, when we do make these purchases, we have to think, what is it going to do 5, 10 years down the road, or is it going to be obsolete? As a school board, as a school board member, I had said earlier, I would want wireless classrooms. I would meet with our professionals and I would talk to them to find out what technologies are going to be enhanced, that are going to be here for a long time. You don't want to spend money and 3 years from now be told that that technology is no good anymore. As far as the global economy goes, it's here. We need to educate our children so that they can compete, and they can compete not only in colleges but down the road in the workplace.
Thank you. Are there some more questions? Yes.
Hi, I'm Jackie Hickey. I'm a resident of Somers for the past 14 years. I'd like to know what the candidates' views are on special education here in Somers, and I'd like to know, as a board member, what would you do to support special ed here in Somers?
Mr. Olifers, will you tackle that one?
Yes, I support special education. I had said earlier that 10% of our children are children in need, or of special needs children. We have a responsibility and we have a duty to make sure that they receive the same amount and same opportunity that the other students get. Now, as a board member, as I said earlier, we have people on both ends of the spectrum, and we have children that are in the middle. As a school board member, I would oversee to make sure that we have programs in place to deal with all groups. But in my mind, everybody deserves the same education and same educational opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sirico.
Yes. Well, special education is not a luxury, it's a requirement. And I support it. I mean, everybody is entitled to an education. I think special needs, they need help to get along more so than the middle group or the group that's the high need, the kids that excel. So in terms of special needs is a priority, I guess that's what I'm saying. And I would support and listen to our special needs parents and understand what's taking place and are they satisfied with what's happening, and just keep an open ear. Be an advocate. Thank you.
Ms. Iacchino?
Yes. I believe that every child in Somers should be educated here in their own home, in their own school district, in their own town. I 100% support doing everything physically possible and fiscally possible to do that. We've brought in, I know students that we've had to go to other school districts because we just couldn't support them here. We didn't have the money that year. We didn't have the resources. We didn't have the technology and the knowledge. We worked hard for a full year to make sure we hired a teacher who would be wonderful with those students. We hired, some students have a problem with, fine motor skills. They have laptops. We do everything possible. We want our students here in their building, in their home, in their town, in a loving environment, with teachers who love them and staff that supports them. So absolutely, unless we absolutely couldn't just possibly handle whatever their special need was, that, I understand that, but if we possibly could in any way, I absolutely support it 1,000%.
Thank you. Mr. Chang.
I'm very proud of the special education program that Somers has, and the fact that the families with that kind of need that move to Somers, this make Somers school system actually look good with a good reputation. However, it is expensive to provide special education. As I went through a learning seminar with the school board candidates, I have learned that a certain school district has to pay up to $80,000 per student to another school district because they do not offer special education. Since this is a requirement, and they would have to send the student to another school, and that $80,000 per student is a big tag. So I think we need to, again, as I said in opening, to plan ahead, anticipate these type of growth. We should, not be reactive, and we do have to set policies. And for the Somers community, we cannot arbitrarily just, absorb any number. And on the other hand, this is something we ought to do just as a human being. So I think that when I get elected, I will look into this issue, and I would like to study about other school districts, how they handle this situation, and whether there's a financial actually gain or loss in doing so. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, another question, please. Yes. Mr. Chang will be first to answer.
Hi, my name is Leah Irvin. I'm a resident of Somers for 7 years. Can you guys give me your views on the grant availabilities, corporate, I'm speaking most specifically to IBM and PepsiCo that are right in our neighbors. What are your views on exploring their availabilities for our school district? Thank you.
Great. It's right in my alley. I worked for IBM 30 years. IBM is a great corporation, has lots of programs to support education. One time, Lenovo, which is sold, now given a PC to every student in a school somewhere in South Carolina. I was drooling. I said, wow, why can't that be, in Somers? Yes, there's lots of those things, but it takes initiative, takes energy to pursue it. And certainly, if I've given the opportunity, I will pursue that angle. And I think many corporations actually very willing to be a good citizen, corporate citizen. But you need to have a program. You need to have the proposal. You need to have an outcome in mind. And the outcome is a key in education. I think we just have to, take that initial initiative.
Thank you. Mr. Oliphers?
Who here wouldn't support any funding we could get from any company or any body that could help us in our school system? Of course I would support that. But as a school board member, my role would be to do this, to ensure that our business people are writing grants, pursuing grants, and from local, state, and federal government. Okay? We would also, as a board member, make sure that they were pursuing corporations that are right here in our backyard. And that would be my role, to ensure that it would be done. As I said earlier, my job would be to make sure that everyone that worked for the school system was accountable. You have grant writers. They should be doing their job. And as board members, we should be ensuring that they're doing their job. Thank you.
Mr. Sirico?
Yes, I would agree also in terms of looking for grant money and pursuing grants. I think, why not? I think when you, as a board member, you might have to balance what might be asked in return for some of that money. Those become issues that you have to vet out and decide whether, those are appropriate. When you talk about, pursuing money, the first thing that comes to mind is New York State. New York State just passed a investment in education bill. It's a $7 billion bill that's going to improve education for the state. We have to compete for those funds. This year, we enjoyed the benefit of almost $1 million in state funding as a result of this. So I would say to the community, we should be going out and writing letters to our state senators and thanking them for that money, but more so maintaining that there's continuity with those funds for next year as well. And I think that's an important aspect of a board member, and one of the things that I'd like to see out of the Somers board, a strong legislative agenda.
Ms. Aquino?
Yes, thank you. Absolutely. I mean, who would not want grant money? I mean, we would do anything possible to lower our tax base. That's why we have IBM in town. That's why we have Pepsi. That's why we have Heritage Hills. I mean, they just are wonderful tax bases. Even though I think our taxes are still high, I can't imagine how much higher they'd be if we didn't have those wonderful tax bases. But many times IBM and Pepsi come with, strings attached, and those are many times why we haven't accepted money from those corporations. Somers is proud, and we don't sell out, so to speak. We would happily accept money if it came appropriately, and was best for our children. We wouldn't mind putting IBM sign up, but we wouldn't want to, be told we had to have everything IBM, or we had to have just Pepsi in our schools, or whatever the strings attached would be. But absolutely, we've gotten grant money. We're always after grant money. We've gotten the smart boards. Most of the smart boards we have were because of grant money.